Come on and welcome Mikey Cullen all the way from Dublin.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to be amongst phenomenal lineup of artists and a great crowd as well for a worthy cause. So I'm going to do a bit of spoken word for you. I'll just do one piece. Was anyone down at EP or Failing a Pubble last year? A few years, yeah. Did you go see the Wolf Tones? Yeah, we're singing along to Up the Rat, Celtic Symphony. Yeah, so you remember after that there was a bit of controversy in the Irish media for the Wolf Tones, and people like Joe Duffy were saying that young people need to learn their history singing along to that. So I wrote a response piece to the Irish media, I suppose, an Irish history spoken word piece about why we do sing rebel songs and the like, and it's based off the mantra, I suppose, oppression breeds resistance, you know, and it's about Irish history, but it's equally as relevant for the Palestinian cause as well, you know. Our two countries are so interlinked, obviously. So it's called a response to revisionism, ignorance, and West Britishness. They say now your history, and they're right, we should. They say now your history in this alien language forced upon us, our natural tongues cut and dried and hung up upon some lord's mantle like a trophy, taxidermy, dead carcasses hide. We should know how we were depicted across the Irish Sea not all that long ago. Caricatures of savages, insolent, wild, caveman-like and uncivilized. That was their moral justification to rape, maim, murder and colonize. Thought of as less than, and we still are, by some deluded planters in the north, where tricolours they burn and bonfire smoke and potent hatred rises into the sky, where they sing songs about killing us, and to that racism we all turn a blind eye. All in the name of peace, tolerance, reconciliation and understanding. Yeah, well, that goes both ways. It's no surprise that's the same company the Irish far right are keeping these days. They say now your history, but what do they speak of the corpses that wash up with the Atlantic Sea that did carry far too many a refugee? It swells and crashes and rages with anger on our western coast. The mist haunting barren green and overlooking like a ghost. It remembers to Hell or Connacht and Black 47 and lingers to remind. While in garrison towns and Dublin Castle to king, country and empire they did toast. An empire synonymous with genocide. Decimated communities of emaciated people with scant opportunities, skeletons that slumped into ditches and died. They say know your history, and they're right, we should know our history to know that we are so lucky now, as there was a time we were schooled in hedges and forest clearings, unworthy of education, not allowed to practice law, own our own land, police ourselves or teach. They denied us absolution, hope and the heavens above. They criminalized God. Our own religion was made illegal to preach. We are second-class citizens in our own country. No rights to our own land, plantations and penal colonies. We as Irish people have more in common with third world nations than we do with the other Western countries. Wolf Town tried to unite us, to face a common foe. The croppy boys of Wexford and French assistants arriving from the West. His vision of equality for all Catholic, Protestant and dissenter alike was brutally repressed. And dear old Robert Emmet from the dock proclaimed, when my nation takes her place among the free nations of this earth, then and not till then, let my epitaph be written. He now sleeps in an unmarked grave of hollow dirt, his epitaph still unwritten. They say now your history, and they pay homage and commemorate 16, but it's only for legitimacy, a meretricious, politically motivated show. Do they speak of James Connolly? Do they know his envision, his ideals for Ireland and justice and equality for all religions, races, sexes, classes and creeds, a free and sovereign self-sufficient land from Derry to Kerry and the plough to the stars? How he and Pearse proclaimed the ownership of Ireland to the people of Ireland. This has recently been edited, of course. Now it's the ownership of Ireland to multinational businesses, landlords, vulture funds, and the IMF. When he was taken from his hospital bed at dawn on the 12th of May, already on the verge of death from his wounds sustained in the fight for emancipation of our ancient nation. When he was strapped to that chair in the Stonebreaker's yard in Old Kilmainham jail, the banshees shrieking wail as white on the checks marks the spot and fire. The shots rang out like morning church bells as Connolly he slumped, lifeless, and fell on the red splattered stones. Could he have known or foreseen a life pledged to the peoples and to the green, his sacrifices thus far in vain? The Helga sailing up the Liffey, levelling the city, and the North King Street burrowing and executing. The Black and Tans given free rein to quell the spirit of resistance that rose like a phoenix from the ashes of sleeping martyrs in Arbour Hill. Cork burned to ash, the Sackaball Briggan, Crow Park, November. Dublin versus Tipperary, the crowds of families in full voice until the whooshing and whizzing of lead and frenzy, until 14 souls lay dead. Lush green grass, now seeped red. A direct attack on the GEA, who we are, all that is good. Do they care to remember? They say now your history. Well, to be able to view it as history is a luxury. Not all of us seen a withdrawal of the British in 1922 when, after a final act of villainy worthy of their reputation, they threatened Michael Collins with immediate and terrible war should he fail to sign. Our greatest son long crucified, now since the ink has dried. They called it the Anglo-Irish treaties, but there was no equity in these negotiations, and the reverberations left prolonged conflict inevitable. Fratricide, houses, hearts, and the country split with irrevocable results. We in the south tore ourselves apart, and those in the north left at the mercy of unionist supremacy in an artificial, fictitious, fabricated state with an ill-built unionist majority. Narnia, Neverland, Northern Ireland, imaginary supplanted lines on maps and etched across our people's heart. The cruel tragedy of it all, and their greatest victory perhaps, is today some believe that we are our peoples apart. The clue is in the name. It is the north of Ireland. They say now your history. But what do they speak of? Gerrymandering, intimidation, discrimination in jobs, housing and education. Again, second-class citizens in our own country, but this time not in the 1800s, but a time when our dads and granddads would have been young fellas. And they're quick to mention the conflict, but less happy to admit how it started when the age of enlightenment reached renaissance in the 60s and blacks in the US and Catholics in the 6th March for civil rights. Not looking for a united Ireland, liberation, nothing like that. Just equality and opportunity. This peaceful movement was brutally suppressed by the RUC, peace specials and loyalist pogroms, burning Catholics out of their home with Downing Street impunity. Again, the Irish were a refugee. Soldiers on the street then, and internment. And they're quick to mention atrocity, but only when committed by the IRA. January 1972, they marched on the narrow bogside streets against the backdrop of imposing city walls to remind them of their place. Their chorus for a brighter tomorrow warmed the winter's air chill on their face. Until the whooshing and whizzing of lead and frenzy, until 14 souls lay dead. Father Daly's white handkerchief, peace now diluted red. And they say now your history. But what do they mention of the collusion, the Dublin Monaghan bombings 1974, enabled by MI5, 33 murdered dead, James Bond fraternising with the UVF, they broke bread. They don't mention the cover-ups or the justice long denied, those fucking murderers in the parachute regiment that they shield and hide. And what of Ballymurphy? What of the 10 brave men who starved to death in concentration camp cells covered of their own excrement? They called them terrorists, but they were poets, writers, gaelgors, tradesmen, deprived of humanity, dignity, rights, smokes, and pen. For they refused to bow and allow Thatcher to criminalise our sovereign right to assert our freedom. For when the crime accused is that of being Irish, well, for that they refused to repent. So if you say now your history, I hope you mention all of this too. Don't let the media set the agenda and follow a false narrative set by Tories and Free Staters with their own interests. Oppression breeds resistance, and history is in past tense, and it is indeed better to die on one's feet than to live on one's knees. So spare us your pompous lecture and condescension, media, please. And for those of us who know our history, we'll keep alive our heritage and the flame for those who fought and died in the patriot game, that their sacrifices are not in vain. We'll sing up the Ra proudly as is our natural right. Let it be. We'll sing of all Fenians proudly and loudly and without care until that fateful day. Not a boy, ere the sir. Thank you very much.